as well. So big changes taking place compared to what we have had so far in the last couple of weeks or so. Now, before I get on with that, I'll talk about the advertising. It's a very big day for GadsWeatherVids.com, very special day because I've got a premium video advertiser partnering with GadsWeatherVids.com today. So, there's is from now on going to be video ads on all the pages at GadsWeatherVids.com. If you play those video ads, you'll be supporting GadsWeatherVids.com by doing that. They're interactive as well, so you can click through the video and go to the advertiser's websites and see what the videos are all about and that kind of thing. But do play the video ad, see what you think, and thanks very much for doing that. So, starting off with the 500 millibar height anomaly flow charts. 500 millibars, 80,000 feet, an important area in the atmosphere because that's where we've got high pressure and low pressure developing as the jet stream moves those areas of high pressure and low pressure around. Essentially, that's what weather is, the movement of air masses by the jet stream. And of course, those pressure belts, those air masses, where they sit will determine what temperatures we get. High pressure has been sitting just to the south of the country over the past few weeks, bathing us in warm tropical air. That same area of high pressure is going to the north of the country in the next few days, and it's going to bring in much colder air from the Arctic. So, this is the 500 millibar height anomaly from the ECMWF here on the left. The GFS is on the right, and this is for 8 to 10 days time, so it's taking us from around the 16th to say the 18th of October. And yeah, we're looking at high pressure sitting to the north of the country. It's actually what we're looking at here is above average temperatures and above average heights at 18,000 feet, but that extrapolates to high pressure. So yeah, we've got high pressure in this big red area indicating that we've got high pressure sitting to the north of the country. And again, it's the same idea on the GFS. The high pressure is blocking to the north of the British Isles and extending out in towards Greenland as well. Lots and lots of blocking going on out towards Greenland. Corresponding with that, there's a trough of low pressure sitting more or less to the south of that block of high pressure, and that's indicated by the blue colours. That is below average temperature at 18,000 feet, a trough sitting in the Atlantic, and again you see it there on the GFS. So they're both in agreement, the GFS and the ECMWF are both in agreement. We're going to get a big blocking area of high pressure sitting up to the north of the country, going up towards Iceland and Greenland, and the idea is that you get a cold trough sitting underneath that block, and we are very much on the cool side of that blocking feature because the jet stream is running around that trough of low pressure. And yeah, we're on the southerly side of that jet stream, and again here on the GFS we're on the on the northern side of that jet stream, I should say, the jet stream to the south of the country. So yeah, we're on the cold side of the jet, we've got blocking over the Arctic, and we've got a cold trough sitting in the Atlantic. That's a pretty cold and unsettled looking scenario. So you won't be surprised to see the GFS temperature ensembles that have got a lot of precipitation coming up over the next couple of weeks, and we've got pretty cool temperatures as well. Now we're still above average. Remember the red line here, I showed you this yesterday, the red line is where we should be. We're still just above that red line. We've got one more day of warm weather. If you enjoy the warmth, get out and enjoy it this afternoon, because after this it's downhill all the way. You can see that with the temperature lines, with temperatures dipping down below the red line, well below the red line, by the time we get through to Thursday, the 10th of October. And then we're staying on the cool side then for many days going through the weekend and into next week. All members of the ensemble keep below the red line then, so we're pretty cool. Eventually, as we get through to around the 17th, 18th, we start to see those temperature ensembles beginning to pick up a little bit, getting back towards the seasonal normal. But look at all the precipitation spikes that we've got coming up. Going to be a really wet spell potentially, particularly for England and Wales, I think, with outbreaks of rain coming in from the east. Quite unusually, outbreaks of rain will come in from the east rather than the west. And yeah, got a really wet couple of weeks coming up if those precipitation spikes are to be believed. So the temperature anomalies for the next week, this takes us from Tuesday the 8th of October to Tuesday the 15th of October, show that we're going to be cooler than average, as is much of Western Europe. Remember, just recently this has been warm in the west and cool in the east. Now the whole thing has flipped around. It's warm in the east of Europe, we've got the red colours down, and it's gone colder to the west of Europe and through central parts of Europe. That's always one of the ways that the weather sort of moderates itself. You have one part of Europe warm, you'll have the other side of Europe cold, and very often when it is warm in the east, it'll be cold in the west, and vice versa. So we're on the cooler side now. The east is and has warmed up a little bit. If we have a look at the precipitation anomalies for the next week, again the 8th of October to the 15th of October, it shows that the driest weather, the red colours here, are going to be in the west, and the wettest weather is going to be in the east. This is showing actually average rainfall for the east with these white colours, but notice that it's wetter than average in the North Sea and around those eastern coasts, and I think we will probably bring some quite heavy rain at times in from the east, particularly across England and Wales. So having a look at the generic charts, this is for GFS first of all, and this is the situation for Sunday. The big blocking area of high pressure is there to the north of the country. We saw it on the height anomaly charts. It's from Iceland going up to Greenland, 1,030 millibars. And when you see these orange colours, that indicates proper blocking sort of conditions up over the Arctic. So yeah, we've got high pressure there. The low pressure is to the south of the country. That's bringing outbreaks of rain or showers across England and Wales in particular, and it's moving from east to west as opposed to west to east, which is the normal sort of flow in the northern hemisphere. Going through to next week, Monday the 14th, where we keep the low pressure to the east of the country, so more showers, longer spells of rain likely in the east, but the main thing is that the block conditions continue to the north of the country, and that's really how we go through next week. Then we keep a lot of blocking up to the north, we keep low pressure in the North Sea, always bringing cloud and showers to the east, but driest of the weather, and the brightest and warmest of weather as well will be in the west, but temperatures will be very much on the depressed side. And then going through to the middle and latter stages of next week, we may start to bring in this very deep area of low pressure from the Atlantic. That could bring some heavy bouts of rain in off the Atlantic this time as opposed to off the North Sea. Notice we've still got a lot of blocking mode to the north of that low pressure from Greenland stretching down into the central part of the Atlantic. So it won't take much to push that low pressure through that's coming in on Friday the 18th, push it through and turn the winds around to the north. Again, it wouldn't take much at all. But if that low pressure does come in off the Atlantic around the 17th, 18th of October, it will probably lift temperatures up back towards average. The ECMWF, again, very, very blocked as we go through the weekend. Look at all that blocking to the north of the country. It's the same high pressure that we've had giving us the warm weather. Now it's blocking to the north, so it's giving us much cooler weather. The low pressure is down to the south of that block of high pressure, bringing outbreaks of rain to England and Wales in particular. As we go into next week, really the idea is that we keep lots of blocking around Iceland, stretching up towards Greenland. We keep the airflow basically from the north or northeasterly direction with more low pressure to the southeast. We do have to watch these low pressures coming in to the southeast. It could bring some very, very wet weather on the eastern side of the country, and we've got to sort of, as we get closer to it, we'll have to pin down the exact detail on it, because these low pressures in the North Sea, they can bring an awful lot of rain in off the North Sea, particularly at this time of year when there's quite a bit of warmth in the North Sea. It's about at its warmest, so there's quite a bit of energy for that. Now as we move through to the middle of next week, eventually the low pressure will start to sink away to the south, and then the high pressure takes over, so it turns drier across many parts of the country. But we do probably have to worry about frost and fog later next week. Actually, I think it will be cold enough to get some really cold nights, some frost through the middle and latter stages of next week under that area of high pressure. If it forms, remember by this point the GFS is bringing in a very deep area of low pressure off the Atlantic. So there's a bit of a disagreement there between the GFS and the ECMWF for Friday the 18th. ECM has us under high pressure, GFS has us under a deep area of low pressure. So got to watch how that one develops. And then finally, the GEM, the Canadian model, again, it's blocking to the north of the country over the weekend with this east to northeasterly flow, bringing outbreaks of rain to southern and southeastern parts of the country, in particular an area of low pressure to the south on Monday the 14th. That could be bringing really wet weather into the south and the southeast. And that's sort of how we go into next week as well. You get the idea now. The block conditions to the north of the country really dominating, the slack low pressures in the North Sea bring rain or showers to the east. Eventually, the GEM tries to bring this low pressure in off the Atlantic, but the blocking area of high pressure is still dominating. So that's more in line with the ECM actually. And if that's right, if those two models are right, then we have got to worry about frost and fog later next week. But before we get to that, we've got a lot of unsettled weather to come. Today's the last warm day. Then temperatures are dropping very, very quickly through Wednesday. It's going to be cold by Thursday. And then we're looking for England and Wales, and particularly for eastern and southeastern parts of the country, the Midlands too, for heavy rain coming in off the North Sea as we go through Friday into the weekend. We really do have to pin down how extensive that rainfall is going to be. Were we a couple of months on, of course, this would be snow coming in off the North Sea. We'd be looking at big snow events, but of course, we still don't have the depth of cold on the continent for that, so it's just rain. But it could be quite heavy rain, and that's really going to be the focus of the 5-day forecast tomorrow, I think, trying to pin down how wet it gets in the southeast from Friday and into the weekend. That's it for now. I hope you found the video interesting. Check out the new video ad, and that's it for now. Thanks for watching.